Welcome to the Sales Influence Podcast, where we talk about finding the why in how people buy. I'm your host, Victor Antonio. Thank you for joining me today again. I appreciate you lending me your ears. So today I want to talk about the difference between intensity and consistency. Intensity and consistency. I meet a lot of intense people, but I don't meet a lot of consistent people. That's my problem. Let me tell you a story, because this story is repeated over and over again. I get this about once or twice a month. Once or twice a month, I get somebody who wants to talk to me about being successful. Whether it's being a speaker, whether it's being a trainer, whether it's being a coach, it's Victor, how do you do it? And they're looking for the magic formula. Right? Tell me what I need to do, Victor. I'm all fired up, man. I'm feeling the passion. I'm feeling ready. I'm feeling like this. This is my calling, Victor. And I hear that. That's intensity. That's passion. Pursue your passion. I go for it. And you feel that intensity. And then I flipped it and I said, well, the only thing you have to be is consistent. And they go, what do you mean by that? Well, the reason I'm successful, at least one of the reasons I'm successful, is I'm very consistent in what I do. For example, I do about 2, maybe 3 podcasts a week, depending on my flow, right? How I feel. And so I've been doing this for the last, going now on 11 years. Don't believe me? Check out my YouTube channel. Go look at the original date on my first video. See, over the years, I've been going at it, creating content because I enjoy it. 1, I enjoy learning. 2, I enjoy sharing what I learned plus my experience. And so I have been producing over the last 10 years. Now, if you asked me, if you challenged me, you said, Victor, does that mean every single week for the last almost 11 years, you've produced content? No, I've stumbled a few times. Maybe there was a week here I didn't do anything, or a week there. We all have moments. But I always got back on the horse, so to speak, to produce more content. See, my strategy, at least one of my strategies is, if I develop great content, all of a sudden the law of attraction kicks in. I believe in the law of value attraction. The law of value attraction means if I provide value, I will attract people who appreciate that value. So back to my friends who ask me, how do you do it? How do I become successful, Victor? How can I be just like you? By the way, I always tell them, you don't want to be like me. Trust me. Everybody has their own thing. But what I do tell them is that you have to be consistent in the value you create. And that is that you have to put something out there. You got to let the world know you exist. Look, this is marketing. In today's world, if you're not producing content of value, by the way, there's content and then there's value content. I'm talking about the latter. How do you produce value content? And then how do you do it consistently? What do you have to share with the world that will make them want to take notice? How do you attract the people who are ready to hear what you have to say? Now, let's take this to selling. Let's get out of coaching and speaking. Let's talk about selling. It is no different. I have friends who their strategic advantage is that they're good at selling, but they're also good at explaining the value of their products or their services, and they have a way of communicating that, and they put that information out online. It could be a video, it could be a blog, it could be, pretty much anything, vlogging, combination thereof, podcast, whatever it may be. They share what they know. They create value content in hopes of grabbing somebody's attention, finding people who are their ideal clients to call them up or send them an email and begin the engagement. So back to intensity versus consistency. A lot of people are intense. That's the easy part, the passionate, they're excited, they're like, yeah, let's do this. But then when it comes to consistency, doing what you need to do, day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out, that's where they falter. A lot of people will probably last a week, 2 weeks, maybe a month or 2, but then they'll fizzle out. And I always ask myself, why? Why did they fizzle out? They had the intensity, why couldn't they be consistent? And maybe one of 2 things happened. 1, they weren't creating enough value or realized they didn't have a lot of value. 2, they were waiting for validation from the outside world. And when they didn't get it right away, guess what happened? They gave up. Well, people are not liking my content. What's the point of putting it out there? I put a podcast, but nobody's listening to them or downloading them. And all of a sudden, they lose that intensity. And that's an error. Because if you're waiting for the outside world to validate you, that's a mistake. See, you first have to do it for you. You first have to provide that content because that's what you like. That's who you are. That's what you dig, right? By the way, that's a 1960s term. That's what you dig, right? Because that's your thing, man. That's, when you're doing your thing, as I call it, it's all of a sudden you're in that mode because you want to share what you know. I know this one young lady who's online, has over like 1 million subscribers, and all she does is talk about different applications for makeup. Different applications for makeup. And she's created this tribe because she is providing value. You may not think it's important. I definitely kind of don't think it's important, at least for me, because I don't use makeup. But there's people out there who says, that's important. I value that. But then you look at the number of videos she has, and it's close to almost 2,000 videos, which means this young lady is consistent. The intensity, the passion is there. She loves to do makeup. She loves to show people how to do makeup. Consistency then comes in when she just keeps sharing what she knows. Why? Because she enjoys it. If you don't enjoy it, then consistency is going to be hard to achieve. If you're waiting for outside validation, again, consistency may be hard to achieve. So remember, in life, you can be intense about something, but unless you're consistent in your application, in your sharing of what you know with other people, then you'll never have that pull, that law of attraction, that value attraction that brings in more business for you, brings in maybe even new relationships in the long run that will be more business. But again, it's all about how do you do the hard work. The easy work is putting up a web page. The easy work is creating a brand. The easy work is picking the colors. The easy work is setting up a YouTube channel or a podcast. That's the easy work. The hard work is how do you create content / value that people want. Again, let me tie it back to sales. It's no different. When you're in sales and you're selling a product or service, what clients want from you, what they want is that intensity, that passion that you believe what they believe. You're into what they're into. In other words, you understand their business, you understand their industry, you understand the trends. Man, you are in it. That's the intensity piece. The consistency piece is to stay up to date. Read the articles, read the blogs, read the journals, read everything that has to do with their business. That's when you have intensity and consistency, and you become a better salesperson because you have the passion, the intensity, but you also have the consistency to stay up to date, know the information you're talking about, be able to share that with a customer who goes, Victor understands my business. He understands my pain. Let me give him my business. So if you have intensity and you have consistency, you will not fail. You will be great. And that is it for this motivational sales influence podcast. Let me know what you think of that one. Give me some feedback, iTunes, Stitcher, or YouTube. Again, let me know what you think. I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, if you haven't checked it out, my Sales Velocity Academy. I keep talking about this because the value is incredible. We put together pricing that anybody can afford. So if you're serious, really serious about increasing your sales velocity, being able to sell more, communicate more effectively, check out the SalesVelocityAcademy.com. That's SalesVelocityAcademy.com. Lastly, I want to thank you for listening. This is Victor Antonio, always reminding you, selling ain't hard when you know how. Take care. Hi, I'm Victor Antonio. I'm an author, sales trainer, and keynote speaker. I'm often asked, what makes a great speaker? Is it someone who delivers real content that the audience can use? Is it someone who engages the audience so they're part of the learning experience? Or is it someone who can motivate an audience to push them beyond their comfort zone and discover new abilities? The answer is yes. But the most important thing to remember is that I'm not there to look good. I'm there to make my client look good. Simply put, it's never about me, and it's always about them.